continuation of the history chapter, the age of industrialization. Students, in the last video, we have seen how the trade guilds, they were so strong that they didn't give entry to the newcomer or the new traders and merchants. So they were bound to move to the countryside, and they have started convincing the farmers to grow for them and the artisans to spin and weave for them. For that, for persuading these farmers and artisans, the merchants have provided the advances and they have taken the work with them, and they easily agreed, farmers and artisans, they easily agreed to work for the merchants because the economic condition and the employment opportunities was shrinking day by day, and due to that their income has become meager, and the economic and the livelihood of those people was in trouble. So during that time, the merchants have started persuading to the people, and there are almost hundreds of farmers or the artisans were working for the merchants. And we knew that the entire production came for packaging at the London. So the entire finishing point or the finishing center was the London. And we know that slowly and gradually this production was made for the international market. And during this time, factories were not there. People living in their house, were making the entire production. They were making and making the production in their cottages. And that is why this period of production, when the production was supplied for the international market and factories were not there and the production was not based on the factories, this period was known as proto-industrialization. So students, when we are talking about the proto-industrialization, the production was made for the international market in different units, and the production was there. People were producing for the other for supplying in the other countries for the international market. Now we'll go further how the production is made and what would be the further requirement of the merchants. Students, we are talking about the age of industrialization, and we have seen how the production was made, and we have seen that how earlier the factories were not there. Now we are going to see how the coming of the factories, and with the help of factories how the production would be made. See students, during those days time much of the factories were not there, and by 1730s we have seen that the factories came up. First factories, they came up at 1730s. And you can see that in England by 1730s the earliest factories, they came up, and slowly and gradually with the increase in time, many of the factories, they were multiplied, and by 18th century we have seen that there were so many industries, there were so many factories were there, and that has boomed the cotton production. So the cotton was the era of was the symbol of that 19th century. Until 19th century we have seen that there's so many industries, so many factories, they came up during that time, and so many factories that has multiplied the production and that has boomed the production. Students, we have seen that in 1760s Britain was importing 2.5 million of raw material from the different areas. 2.5 million of worth rupee import was made by the Britain in 1730, and this raw material was to feed the different industries. This was to feed the different cotton industries. So the textile industries, the cotton industry was the symbol of during that time of industrialization. Whatever industries came up during that time, factories came up during that time. So cotton was the most common industry of that time, and by 1760s we have seen that worth rupees 2.5 million was the raw material purchased for the different factories of the cotton. And this amount has increased, this money has increased, this import has increased by 22 million pounds, 22 million pounds by 1787. In the another 20, 20, 25, 27 years, from 2.5 it has increased to the raw material worth rupees 22 millions came in, has been brought and by consumed by the different industries. So you can see that within 20 years of time there was almost 10 times the raw material was increased, of worth rupees 22 million was imported and it was used. See students, during this time we have seen that there are small inventions were going on, small new discoveries were taking place, and with that small tools or the small devices that was made during those days time, invented during those days time, has increased the efficiency of the different workers and of the different people. So the efficacy of the workers was increased due to these different invention that came by 18th century. And students, we can see that now the cloth making and the production of cloth became very easy because the simple machines came up, simple tools came up, carding, twisting and rolling of the cloth, and packaging was done in a very simple manner, within very efficacy, within very ease. The production was made and was packed for the international market. So carding, twisting, spinning and rolling, these are the different stages when the packaging is done and the production is ready for the international market. So these new invention has really increased the efficiency of the workers, and it was not much time consuming. Earlier the workers were really get tired by doing all these work, but now within very ease that the work was done, and the people, and it was not time consuming also, and it was time saving also. See students, this has increased the efficiency of the labor, and the quality of the labor has also increased. And not only that, we have seen that during this time there was a man who wanted, we know that we have seen, and in the last video you have studied about that how in different stages the production was made ready, cloth was made ready. To get the cloth ready, it undergoes with different process. You know that wool clothier, he used to supply the wool, it reaches to the stapler, and after stapling the different quality of the cotton, then that is sent to the then trade merchant that takes that the entire stapling cotton, that takes to the reaches to the spinner, and from there time is given to him him that now you spin the cloth. Now to you spin the thread. Okay, yarn is ready. Now after there, the merchant takes it and then it supplies it to the weaver. And when he another 15-20 days or whatever days he takes a time, and then again it goes to the dyer, okay, and then fuller, and then it goes again to the dyer, and then again it reaches to the for packaging. So that you can see that how in different areas or different people, family members, they used to do different work for getting the work ready, for getting the cloth ready. There are so many people are involved, so different so many processes are involved, and it was really very time consuming. And sometimes it happens that delay in work or delay in making the different process really makes the loss to the merchants. So students, this was the time when there is a need that all these things that is done and in at different scattered units, if this can be made possible that all these work can be done under a roof. Yes, Richard Arkwright. Richard Arkwright has started the cotton mill, first cotton mill he has made, and under that, in that cotton mill, in that vast area of the cotton mill, the entire work was spread around, and all the important process was done under a roof. Okay, under one roof the entire production was made. Earlier what the merchant he used to do is he used to take this up to the stapler, then from again he has to load and unload, then he goes to the spinner, and then after a spinner, after 5, 10, 20 days, again he takes that thread, he reaches to the weaver, and from then again from weaver then he reaches to the fuller, and then dyer, and then to the other areas. It was really very time consuming, and it was very tiresome also. So students, Richard Arkwright has made one cotton mill where the entire production or entire procedure, all these procedures are done under one roof. So you can see that what we need to do is from farmer we need to buy the cotton. Okay, this is the first step we need to do it, and rest of these steps for stapling, and from stapling to the spinner, from spinner to the weaver, from weaver to the fuller, from fuller to the dyer, and from dyer for packaging. All these different processes, different stages of process, they are done under one roof. So it has really increased the efficiency of the worker, efficacy of the worker, and the merchant's time consuming, and was not very tiresome also. Now it has become very easy, it becomes very easy for the proper management. You don't have to go out to different places, and you can see that supervision over the production process. He can easily supervise the production that is taking place. Within an hour you can see that all around the entire factory is there only, and there only under one roof, from one area to their area, maybe a kilometer or a half of the meter, or 10 steps away if you go, the spinner is working, and then you can keep a check on the weavers or the clothier, what all they are working. So under one roof the production became very easy, and in a very nice manner, in a very efficient manner, he can supervise the work, and he can easily manage the work that is done by so many workers. So the costly new machines could be purchased. You can see that to set up this machine, you can see that first cotton mill in Lancashire in England that was set up, and Richard Arkwright was really successful in setting up the industry, and for that he need to buy different machineries. You can see that he has bought the different machineries, and with the help of the machines the production process has also increased. tiredness is also reduced, efficacy and efficiency of each worker which they used to do manually, now everything is done with the help of machine. So production has also increased. You can see that it has all these different machines have increased the efficacies, and it has become very easy to maintain the entire meal and the different process also. So the supervision over the production process and to watch the quality of things, and now the things can be regulated very easily and supply can be made within the time period. It has become very easy, and this was a great initiative during early 19th century that the factories that was done, and the regulation really became very important, and management became really successful by the Richard Arkwright. You can see that the Richard Arkwright created the cotton mill. The costly new machines could be purchased, set up and maintained in the mill. This allowed a more careful supervision over the production process, a watch over the quality. He can check the quality also. He can regularly go and he can visit every day and he can check the quality and he can check how much production is made, and this has becomes easy for regulating the labor working for them, becomes easy for them. Now see student, now we have the another important topic, that is the pace of industrial change. Pace means the speed of how was the industrial changes or industrial development has taken place, how fast it was or whether it was slow. See students, we have seen that how the Richard Arkwright, he has created the cotton mill, the first cotton mill where all the different process of making the cotton, and from cotton converting into the thread and thread into the weaving and then flowing and coloring it and then packaging it, carding, twisting, rolling, packaging, everything, spinning, everything is done under one roof. This was the great achievement at the time of the industrial production in the 19th century. So here you can see students, during that time cotton was the symbol of the new era and of the industrial production also. Cotton was the great symbol, and during this time we have seen that by 1840s the cotton was the face for the industrialization. Almost all the important industries during that time, the cotton was the symbol. Everybody who was establishing the industry, they were establishing cotton textile. Anybody came, they also wanted to set up the cotton textile mill. So by 1840s we have seen that cotton was the symbol and was the face of industrial production. Now we have seen that slowly and gradually when the new machines came and new invention came, during that time iron was used, iron and steel was used for getting the new machines. They were made up of iron, and railway production, railway lines were also set, so iron was used. So during this time after 1840s we have seen that the another important industrial change that has taken place, that was the iron and steel. Iron and steel has grabbed the attention of all the investors and of all the industrialists. Now people want to invest more of their money in the iron and steel industries after the cotton, because we have seen that there were so many cotton textiles were there. Now the new craze during this time, because more of the development was taking place, more of the infrastructural development was taking place, and building up of different industries and factories and houses, officials, administrative blocks. So for that, iron really played a very important role, and the different machineries also came up, and all machineries are made up of with the iron. So iron and steel has grabbed the opportunity after the cotton. So earlier cotton was there, and at the later stages we have seen iron and steel industry has led the way. See, with the expansion of the railways, the demand for iron and steel has increased. And by 1873, students, you can see that the Britain was exporting iron worth rupees 77 million pounds. See, students, we have seen that in 1780 initially 2.5 million pound money was spent in buying the raw material for the cotton, okay, for the cotton textile. Later in 1887 we have seen that this has increased to 22 million pounds. You can see that when iron was started its business and the production was there, it was around how much? It was 77 million pounds. 77 million pound of worth raw material, iron and steel was worth rupees was used, and it was almost more than double. You can see that. Now, the second important thing that we really need to see, students, in the pace of industrial change, the new industrialist could not easily displace the traditional industries. You can see that they could not they cannot change the new industries. In the 19th century, we have seen that when these new machines came up, people were really not very happy to change it. They don't wanted to change it. They were happy with the old procedure, old methods and old steps and factories. Only 20% of the industrialists, we have seen that they have shifted to the new technology. We have seen that the new industries could not easily displace traditional industry. Traditional industries was more in the actual form, or was famous. At the end of the 19th century, we have seen that only 20% of the people in the total workforce, if we see, they were employed in the new industries. Rest, technologically advanced industrial sector, only 20% of the people, they have shifted to the new industries. Otherwise, rest of the 80% of the workforce, they were working in the old industries. They were working in the old factories. They are not shifted to the new factories. So students, here we have the another important topic that we people have is textile was a dynamic industry, but the large portion of the output was made within the domestic units. We have seen that today also almost all the production in the textile industry that was done in the scattered units. They have not shifted. We have seen that Richard Arkwright, he has made the new machinery, he has brought the new machineries, big machineries are used, and now the requirement for the labor has also reduced. Now most of the work is done with the help of the machine, and whereas everybody, they don't wanted to install the money. So all the production process was going in a very old method, in the old procedure was going on, and it was in the different scattered units. So we have seen that the dynamic industries like cotton, they have also not opted the new technologies. So here we can say that what was the pace of industrial change? Pace means speed. The changing speed, the pace was very slow. The pace was very slow because the power steam cotton or the metal industry, they were was not very stagnant, not even stagnant. You can see that the pace of the traditional industries was not set up by the steam power. You can see that, see students, during that time the new industries, when new industries came, so they are needed to be mechanized. They are needed to be mechanized. More of the machineries should be used. But the people were not very happy with the new technology, and they don't wanted to shift to the new technology. They don't wanted to opt the new technology. They don't wanted to adopt the new technology. So you can see that many were non-mechanized sectors. Majority of the 80% of the workers, they are working in the old factories. Only 20% of the workforce, total workforce, was working in the technological industries. And moreover, the people and the industrialists, they are also not happy to change their industrialization system. They also not happy to change the ordinary industry or the small inventions that are made during that time. They are not happy to adopt those things. So there is a great reason behind it. See students, there is a great reason behind it. It may be a furniture industry, it may be a textile industry, it may be the making different tools or any devices, or iron making industries, any industries. All these industries, much of the industries were not very happy with the mechanized form of development that has taken place in the industries. There are many reasons behind. There are many reasons behind. See students, we are going to talk now below. There are many reasons behind. Number one, the new technology is very expensive. The new technology is very expensive. When you wanted to buy, see, new machines came up. Whenever new thing comes or new thing is invented, it is very costly. See students, whenever the mobile phone came, initially they were very big also, and they were costly also. It is very difficult for everybody to afford it. Okay, and other devices, anything, laptop or iPhone or different things, whenever they come, when they are initially launched, at that time their prices are very high and everybody cannot afford it. Same manner, when new technology came, new machines came, new plants came, it was not very everybody, see, first thing, everybody was not as financially strong that all the industrialists, they can opt for the new technology and they can bring the new machineries. Number two, there are some middle industrialists are also there, some small industrialists are also there. They cannot spend that much of money in buying big machineries and huge machineries, and they cannot set up in their factories. So this was the problem, financial problem was there. Number two, it was very expensive also. Number three, maintenance cost. It was totally new, and the people, they were not knowing how to operate it, how to run those machines, and the workers are not easily trained. to operate those machines and run those machines. How they are going to opt it? And moreover, the repair cost was also very costly. Suppose if any breakdown takes place, if machinery takes place, if there is any breakdown takes place, then also there is really a problem. How we are going to mend it, how we are going to repair it. So repair would also be very costly. And the people were also not aware to use it. A special training is required to train the people, workers. So these are the different drawbacks that people were not happy, and people were really not interested in changing the traditional industry to the mechanized industries, from a traditional industry to the mechanized industry. So these many problems has affected that they don't wanted to shift to the new and expensive machineries. So students, we have seen that the steam engine was invented. The steam engine was produced. The steam engine was produced by a new model of the steam engine was made and devised. Steam engine was made by the James Watt. And the new model was made by the Newcomen with the brand. It is a company name, Newcomen. So Newcomen was the company that has made the revised form of revised steam engine. And see, there was his friend James Watt's friend Matthew Boulton was there. He has made the new revised. His friend Matthew Boulton has manufactured the new model of the steam engine. New model of the steam engine was made by the Matthew Boulton. What was the brand name? Newcomen. Newcomen was the brand name, and steam engine has revised it and they have made it to the people. So we have seen that students during that time there were people, they were really not happy with the production of and setting up of the new industries. They didn't want to make the set up the new machines in their industries, and what they wanted, they have decided that they are going to continue with the traditional industries. They wanted that the production can be continued with the traditional industries. See students, during that day's time, at the beginning of the 19th centuries, there were not more than 321 steam engines were sold. Only 321 steam engines were sold during that time, and it was also the number is really very less. Only 321 steam engines were used and being fitted into the different industry, whether they are textile industries, iron and steel industry, wool industries, or mining and quarrying, different industries. If we talk one by one, you can see that we have 80 steam engines were fitted in, installed in the cotton industries. We have 9 steam engines were installed in the wool industries. 89, and the rest of the steam engines were used in the mining process, in the canal making or quarrying or any other metallic work that is done, or in a smelting, other smelting industries. Rest of the engines were used, because steam engine can do much of the hard work with more efficiency and with a more speedy manner. So students, we have seen that most powerful technology that has enhanced the production and efficiency, as well as the productivity of the labor has also increased. this has manifold was slow, and it was very slowly it was accepted by the many of the industrialists. And we have seen that more of the craft persons and the other people, they are happy with the old technology. They are happy with the old technology. They are happy with the old technology. So you can see, students, we'll see one by one. We have already discussed there are four different reasons are there that the pace of industrial change was very slow. Okay, why? Number one, the most dynamic industries in Britain were clearly, first it was cotton. Okay, the first era, that was the symbol of the cotton was there. Then metal came up, that was iron and steel industry came up. With the growing rapid pace of the cotton was the leading sector in the first phase. Okay, and in the second phase by 1840s we see that the cotton was there. By 1840s cotton was the symbol. Okay, and after that iron and steel came up in the scene. Okay, this is the another second dynamic industry during that time in Britain. This iron and steel has led the way to the railways. Okay, more of the railways was there, spreading of the railway lines was there. So this has given more of the way to the iron and steel industry. It has given a recognition to iron and steel industry. Now with the expansion of the railways, students, we have seen that in England, the sending of the goods and transport has become very easy. Supplying the goods from one colony to the another colony, from one region to the another region, this was very important, and almost we have seen that it was really beneficial. Second number, the new industries could not easily displace. They were not ready to accept it. See, it becomes very difficult to accept the new things or new methodology or new changes. Okay, same manner, the people, industrialists, they were really not happy to change from the traditional industry to the new industries, because this was a new technology and people were really not sure whether this new technology, how long it would work and how it would be effective. So what they have done, it was very slow. Less than 20% of the total workforce was employed in the technologically advanced industries. Why? Because the workers, they are not trained for the working in the technological industries, and they were not knowing how to operate it. So there is a reason behind that only 20% of the workforce was employed in the technologically new industries. Large portion, this is large, L-A-R-G, large portion of the output was produced not within the factories but outside, within domestic units. We have already seen how earlier in a countryside how the production was made in the different scattered units, and the different houses, in the different domestic units the production was made. So in the same manner this was continued during that time, and they have not changed to the mechanized industries, mechanized machineries. Third, the pace of change in the traditional industries was not set up by the steam power. Steam power was not there. Steam power means steam engine was not used. And the steam engine has really increased the speed up and efficiency of the worker also. And much less of the manual work was reduced. People, by doing handmade work was reduced. So, in the cotton or the industries. Seemingly ordinary and small innovations were the basis of the growth in many mechanized sectors. Very ordinary and small inventions and small devices were used, but they have not installed the big machineries, big plants and big machineries they have not used. And basically the steam engine was not used by the different industries. And you can see that very small innovations were used by the food processing industries, building industries, potteries, glass work, tanning work, furniture making, and the production of small implements. So only simple tools and devices and small innovations were used, but not the steam engine. The fourth one, you can see that students, why the people had not shifted to the new changes. Technological changes occurred very slowly. It was the pace of the industrial revolution was very slow. Okay, this I have already told you. Only 20% people who were working in the workforce. Rest of the 80%, more than 80% of the people, they were working in the old industries, and they have not made any changes. There was no shift. They were doing the same kind of a procedure with the manual work, with the hand manual or the hand labor was used by the people. More of the labor was used, but they have not shifted and they have not started using the machinery for different stages of the production. They did not spread dramatically. Occurred the industries. They did not spread in different industries, and it was very dramatic because people were really not much interested in shifting from and taking the risk of adopting the new technology, because people were not aware. They were waiting, they just wanted to wait that let us see how the others in other industry, those who have opted, how their production would be there, how effective it would be, and then they are going to shift it. So initially the production and use of the mechanized industries was very slow. New technology was expensive, and first thing, it was very expensive. Merchant and industrialists were very cautious about using it. They were not knowing how to use it. They were finding it in a risk. Okay, it is a risk zone for them to use it, because it was too much of the money is invested into it, and machines often broke down. And if something happens with the machinery, if something happened with the machinery, if any part of the machinery is broken, or if any breakdown is there, then the entire process will stop. No production would be there, and then it has to be repaired, and then again it will be installed, and then again it will. Till that time the production will not take place. Whereas in the traditional industry, this problem was not there. Suppose if we say, if 5 workers are not there and they didn't come for the work, rest of the entire production is taking place. All the steps and the procedures are taking place. Only the production would reduce, but it will not stop. But if you have opted the new technology, if there is breakdown in the machinery, the entire system will stop. Okay, so they were finding it in a risk. They find that if it will break down, then it will be a troublesome. And repair was costly, because new machines are there, new parts and new things, they are costly. They were not as effective as their inventors. As the inventors, they claim that it is very efficient. It will not break down. Their repair would be not very costly, and the production would increase. So the claims that was made by the inventors, it was not as effective as they claimed. So students, go through these slides. See the assignment. This is the second assignment you have of history. The age of industrialization. I think it's the fourth chapter or fifth chapter in your book. You can see the number. Do it. Maintain it in your notebook. I think fifth chapter of history. Okay, students, according to the new syllabus, you know that in history we have 3 chapters only. We have 3 chapters. That is, first is nationalism in Europe. Number 2, nationalism in India. And the third one that we people are doing this, the age of industrialization. Okay, there is a choice. So we have opted this, the age of industrialization. So we have 3 chapters in history. Nationalism in India we have already done. Second chapter we are doing it. Okay, and in ECO we have 4 chapters. In ECO we have 4 chapters. Fine. So this is the assignment, students. Till then, thank you so much.